Passo is a two-player game by Clemente Musa and Stefan Mühlhauser, published by Stefan Spiele. It debuted at SPIEL Essen 23 in October, and it was the best game that I played at that convention. Let me tell you how it works. Here's the setup for Passo, a 5x5 grid made up of 25 tiles, with each player having 5 pieces. You're going to choose a start player at random, and then take turns until someone wins. On a turn, you are going to move one of your pieces one space, orthogonally or diagonally. It can go forward, backward, sideways, doesn't matter. And if the tile that you just left is now empty, you remove it from the game. Okay. Very straightforward. So you can take turns, not paying attention to anything. You can go on your own piece or another player's piece. This still goes away. If I go up here, you could end up jumping on me, and now my piece is trapped. This piece was trapped until it moved, until the other one moved. So I could go up here to threaten to jump on top. Maybe you go there first. A stack can have at most 3 pieces. So now this is locked. Nothing else can jump on here. I can jump by it by then jumping over here next time, although maybe you want to jump on me and block me. Your call. The goal, what you were trying to do, one of 2 things. You are trying to jump past the opponent's final row, which right now is here for red, here for black. That could change. If I move here, now my final row is higher. I have just given red the game because red could jump here, and I cannot stop red from next turn jumping here off the board and winning. So don't do that, Eric. It's a terrible play. The other way to win is for the opponent to not be able to move. And that often happens because you will trap pieces. If red gets down here, we're going to ignore lots of other stuff, and jumped here and would threaten to win on the next turn, and now I have to jump and block it, then this would become trapped. I have trapped 2 of my pieces to one of the opponents, which is going to give them more opportunities to move. Now, note, if I had actually done all those moves, these tiles would have gone away, and when I jumped off this tile, this would have isolated this, and this whole thing goes away. So now this is the last piece. And once again, I'm pretty much in a losing position. If I go up, red comes on here and is going to win next. So I can't move this piece. I can't move this one because it's trapped. This is the only one I have available. And if I go here or here, then that is going to allow the opponent to jump on me, and then I am forced to move this one. My only choice is to go here. This separates, and now red still has an easy victory. Go here. I must move on my turn. Now it jumps on me. All this goes away. I have to move on my turn, and the end game happens as before. So everything is very straightforward in Passo. I played 6 times at the SPIEL Essen 23 convention with Stefan Mühlhauser, who beat me twice, and then with my friend Ken Shoda, who I think won 3 out of 4 games. I'm not good at Passo, but the challenge is amazingly good. And all 6 of those games played out very differently. Depends on how you open, where things go from here. So you could end up trying to isolate these 2, you leave these 2 at the end, and then if the opponent is driving down one particular area, you can move this up and haha, now this is actually the back row. So now you have to make progress towards here. All that effort towards here is nothing. You could do something like that, or you could do more of a control strategy, trying to block spaces. It all mixes together very tightly because the ground disappears beneath you. You can't rely on anything because those spaces will disappear. So you are accounting for that when you're making moves, and how the opponent will respond. Well, that determines what land there is left for you to jump on and what the actual victory condition is. If you can force them to move their last piece up a row, well, now you only have to go past that one. There you go. And now you're all set, ready to jump into Passo. You know everything there is to know about the game. except for the advanced variant, because the rules do contain an advanced variant where you use these 12 power tokens. There are 6 in each color, and the rules suggest that after you played a few times, you can look at your tokens before the start of play. You choose 3 of them and put them face down in front of you, and 3 times during the game, you can reveal a token, use its power, and then throw it away. So you got these one-shot uses of something where you can jump over an empty space, or jump onto a stack that already has 3 tokens, where usually they're off limits. Or you can leave the tile behind when you move a token. So little changes that would affect the outcome of play. If you want, you can also play with them face up, so you once again have perfect information as to what each player can do on their turn, and you can account for that when in your moves. I don't see me using these tokens. I appreciate the purity of the design, where you have a 5x5 grid. Every player starts with the same options. You got the chess style setup, tokens lined up in the row. You know the opening moves that are possible, and then things diverge from that point. But the board is disappearing as you go, so you gain options initially as you start moving because you can reach more spaces with your tokens. But over time, the options start shrinking because the board itself is shrinking. My friend Ken and I played the game Flugelrad from Clemens Gerhard's, and one thing we noticed about that game was that there was no disappearance. There was nothing that left play over time, and so it sometimes felt like we were in a stalemate position where we were doing and undoing moves. Again, we only played, 3 or 4 times, so maybe we're missing something about the game design, but we both really appreciated Passo with a Nim-like style play where things disappear over time and your options get fewer and fewer. And at a certain point, you can almost visualize the tree of possible moves, where if I do this, then you have these options available to you. And then if you do those, I can play off that, and so on and so on. Initially, that tree is quite big. And then as it starts getting cut over time, you can see a little bit more how the end game will play out, because there are fewer options literally of what to do. It's not just what's ideal to do as on a chess game, but literally what's possible because of where you can go and what will happen as a result. And I really appreciate that clarity of options available to you, where initially it's very difficult to see, and then things start moving in a certain direction, and you kind of shift how, well, maybe I'm going to just quash them and reduce movement possibilities and put them in a bad position here that may open something up, or you're actually trying to advance and you plan out ahead of time for where I think I can move and counter, and then get to the back. So you're kind of meshing those two together, as I said before in the description, and it develops over time as you see how the opponent responds to you in a very quick game, 5 or 10 minutes, and you're all done. And you play again and play again. I appreciate that fast learning style. I'm a big fan of perfect information abstract strategy games. I like card games. I like family games. This really appeals to me because, again, it's like a game boiled down to these essential elements. We have very few rules, and then you're competing at someone else with this little artificial world to see which of you has figured it out better. Not me at this time, but the appeal is really there, and I wanted to just play again immediately, try to see if I learned anything. Not yet, really, but I really love the design and how it plays. This, by the way, is a purchase copy. I've received review copies from Stefan SPIEL in the past, but this is not it. And then I had the designer sign it inside just because it's cool, right? Get a little memento. Actually playing one of the co-designers, watching the other designer, having him teach people, and just watching him watch others get real enjoyment out of the game. It's very cool. I love to see that. And of course, Passo is a very little game. It's abstract strategy. It's not getting a lot of attention. It's not a really photographic game. It's going to get a lot of attention on social media. And so it's wonderful gameplay and lack of attention inspired me to do this video so I could talk about it. Maybe show it off to someone who would be interested and who otherwise would miss it if it's just on the shelf, because it's very easy to overlook. See, it's just behind my shoulder. You don't even see it. SPIEL, by the way, was bought by Swiss publisher Helvetic. And Helvetic distributes around the world, so hopefully Passo will be available as well. I have no idea whether it will or not. SPIEL in the past had very limited distribution. They have games typically with all wood components, so they don't produce on a super mass scale. Small productions, usually with small games, but with nice challenges. So now you know all about this one.